To see Singleton do what he did on Friday, especially in a moment where we are now seeing Jose Abreu off to the injured list, was very, very cool. I wonder if we'll ever see something like that caliber of a performance from Jon Singleton again. I'm a rather skeptical about it, but it truly was a cool moment in a season where, yeah, you're kind of at the same point you're always at in August. You want to get to the postseason, and you want to see what this team's going to be able to do at that time. But, man, that was really cool for Jonathan Singleton. And this is obviously a show that sometimes gets a tad cynical, skeptical. The guy had not played a baseball game in we're close to 3,000 days or so. We're talking almost a decade between home runs. And this guy goes out there and did what he did. It was very cool. I'm very happy for him. I hope that he is able to make this second stint with the Astros turn into one that actually gets him some real money in the majors, because this is a guy who was basically hanging on to his career by a thread. Came up earlier this year with Milwaukee, didn't do so hot with Milwaukee. They get rid of him, so he comes back in entirely because of an opportunity for him created by, I would say, Jose Abreu's struggles. We'll talk more about what's going on with Jose Abreu in the next segment. My big question right now about the Astros, who are 18-10 since the All-Star break, which is a 64% winning percentage. Pretty damn good. I'm wondering if they actually can play better than this, because they have been playing very well since the All-Star break. They've played some pretty good teams since the All-Star break. It's going to continue, even if they're going up against teams that aren't in first place in their division. Up next, Miami. They're a good team. Seattle, playing well of late, though they did lose 2 of 3 to Baltimore over the weekend. Detroit stinks, but a couple of series against Boston. And the Yankees before they play the Rangers again. Since the All-Star break, the Rangers are 18-9, a 67% clip. They're basically playing at about the same level of success. They took 2 or 3 against the Giants, the Rangers did, over the weekend, but they lost on a walk-off. So Houston's 2.5 games back of Texas. Are the Astros capable of playing a little bit better than this, given that they added Justin Verlander to the rotation, given that there are a couple of injuries that have piled up, but you, for the most part, are healthy, at least as healthy as you want to be from a lineup perspective? Because that's really what this rest of the year is going to be about. Yeah, you're playing well. You might have to play a little bit better if you're going to eventually catch Texas. And I know how we all feel about Texas. I think it's totally fair to overlook them, even if they are 2.5 games ahead. Even if they did shell Framber Valdez in the last game that these two teams played. But I feel like if you're looking at them, it's still just hard to take them entirely seriously. Still, though, you're going to have to play at a slightly better clip than they are. Pretty obvious statement. Welcome to Baseball, Paul. This is the kind of stuff that we bring to the table. Tony the Handsome on twitch.tv/ESPN 97.5. Tired of the Rangers winning and losing when the Astros do too. Yeah, that has been rather annoying. Because you were hoping, okay, maybe you can pick up a game on them yesterday, and of course you lose, and the Rangers lost in walk-off fashion. That's basically where it's been, you know? It's the Astros win 1, the Rangers win 1, and the opposite. So there you go. Other things that were promising over the weekend. Did you know how well Jose Altuve has been playing? So when he came back on July 26th, he was hitting .258. 484 slugging percentage, 831. That was his slash line. He has been so awesome. So many multi-hit games over the last couple. So that slash line has jumped from 258, 484 to 831 to 314, 535, 948. Then factor in that Jose Urquidy actually looked pretty good yesterday with 7 strikeouts over 5 innings, 1 earned run. It was Parker Mashinsky who gave up the home run to Shohei Ohtani, which is the reason that you end up losing 2-1. Guys who are back seem to be getting close to the level that you expect out of them. But Altuve really has been tearing the absolute cover off the ball. The Astros, as you know if you've listened to this show on a regular basis, are, let's just say, fun when it comes to reporting injuries, let alone diagnosing injuries. Because, of course, due to HIPAA, we don't truly know what the Astros are saying about the many players who have been hurt over the course of the year. We just get very confusing statements generally from Dusty Baker, and it at times feels a lot like we always feel. To quote The Departed, they're going to treat us like Detective Dignam treats the feds. Feed 'em bleep, keep 'em in the dock. So it's time for another episode of Astros ER to try and figure out what the hell's going on with some banged up Astros.
If I expose exactly what's wrong with it, which will hurt him and hurt us. You don't really know how he hurt it. Sometimes you wake up sore, hurting. You know, he's laughing a little bit more. And he wasn't crying, but he had tears inside. Brantley's doing fine. He said he's feeling better.
It's not his throwing shoulder, so he should be fine.
I'd like to think I have healing power, but I don't.
This is a house of learned doctors.
Let's start off with Michael Brantley. It's been 1 year and 2 days since Michael Brantley had shoulder surgery. Repeat, it has been 1 year and 2 days. I saw this courtesy of the Astros pregame show on the flagship yesterday. Dana Brown on Michael Brantley, quote, "He's feeling really good. This was the time where we really started to grind him a little bit, where he got sore. And the fact that he's pushing through this, there's no soreness, he's feeling really good. This feels like a special moment to try and get that left-handed bat back. And so he could go out on a rehab stint sometime here in the next week or so. So hopefully he continues to feel well." Okay, so Michael Brantley might go on a rehab stint soon. Sean Mapes, how are we to read this one? I feel like we've been hearing this for 1 year straight.
He actually made a rehab stint earlier this season,
That's what
and
I
he
thought.
still hasn't played.
Right.
So this means nothing to me. Honestly, Michael Brantley can do whatever he wants until he is actually activated onto the 26-man roster for the Houston Astros and is in the lineup. I don't care. I don't care. Say whatever you want about Michael Brantley. I don't care.
Is this a rehab stint for the rehab stint? Because you mentioned the rehab stint that had happened earlier. Clearly it hadn't completed. So is this a rehab stint for his career as a whole, or are we trying to give him rehab for the rehab? We're lost with Michael Brantley at this point. I honestly feel like they should all just shut up when it comes to Brantley, unless he's back out there. This one is a weird mistake by, it seems like, Jeff Bagwell and company, because it doesn't feel like they needed to do what they did, giving Brantley this contract. I'm really curious as to who was seriously poking the fire, poking the coals to see whether or not this guy had something left.
Seems like an unforced error. Not just signing him, but also, it's in the beginning of the Astros ER clip where Bagwell goes, well, it's not his throwing shoulder, so he should be fine. It's his guide shoulder, and it's just like this guy's Jeff Bagwell also said that Michael Brantley would be ready for opening day of 2023.
He did. That has not been true.
It's August 14th. The man has not played for the Houston Astros.
But Sean, the playoffs begin in October, and that's opening day for the Astros. That's when the season really begins. The ALCS. So if he's back by the ALCS, he's technically back by opening day.
Yeah. Okay.
A text from the 281. Am I wrong to think Uncle Mike is basically the assistant bench coach? I mean, at this point, he is definitely giving you more as a theoretical assistant bench coach than he's given to the team.
And that's fine. Like, that honestly should be the role that Martin Maldonado's playing, too.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
oh, boy. Here we go again.
Half the people on this team should be bench coaches.
Speaking of guys who might be better served as a bench coach going forward, Jose Abreu was placed on the injured list with back inflammation over the weekend. He felt it at the beginning of the season and shortly before the All-Star break. It just kept getting worse and worse. Here's what Abreu had to say about the injury and its effect on his play. Quote, "Trust me, this isn't really a justification for the hitter I've been the last 4 months." Huh. Obviously, the last couple of days, it bothered me a little bit to swing. My core areas bothered me to swing a bit. The important thing is the Astros staff have all been trying to put me, since yesterday, in the best position to try to be successful, to be able to return. We decided back in Baltimore that I wasn't in a good place to compete anymore. At least he's saying that this isn't the reason that he's stunk this year. But as we said in the last segment, Sean, We would rather hear him say, like, yeah, this is something I've been dealing with all year. And you have to wonder, okay, so you've been dealing this with the beginning of the year, and it got worse right after the All-Star break. It's been 4 months of this, and now you're like, okay, well, now let's see what an injured list stint will do.
I think this is just a classic, like, we don't make excuses, but so he has to say, like, this is an excuse for how much I've, had a career worst year this year. No. I've only been dealing with a back inflammation since opening day, and then it kind of died down once I was playing good, and then once I started stinking again, it flared back up around the All-Star break.
Naturally, yeah.
like, it started feeling good when I was awesome in June, but I don't know what happened since then.
It does feel like months ago. Remember, we were starting to be like, all right, he's back.
He was good in June when Jordan first went out.
He
He
was.
picked up the slack.
And you gotta wonder, what would his numbers be? He would probably be the worst qualified hitter in baseball. I think he's the 9th worst based off his OPS. So, hey, at least he's not worst. But he's
only top 10 worst.
Top 10 worst for $19 million a year. Dusty Baker on his injury. I could tell by the gait. This has been bothering him on and off, at least since the All-Star break. But a ball player is used to playing hurt. It's up to us to differ between hurt and an injury. So it took him 4 months. Okay, fine.
Well, also, just the classic, like, is he hurt or injured?
Yeah.
And it took him, again, 4 months for them to be, like, injured.
Yes. Only 4. That's
this
fine.
Guy who can barely swing a bat and runs weird.
They finally figured it out, though, Sean. It's okay.
Okay.
Trust the Astros training staff. Phil Maton, as we continue Astros ER, he got hit in the elbow by a comeback line drive on Friday, put on the 15-day IL with a right elbow contusion. Said Maton, for me, it was kind of like the last spot I wanted to get hit. I've been getting treatment literally right there like the last week and a half. Oh, God. So his elbow's messed up, and he got hit directly in the elbow. Why isn't he pitching with a brace? Would that work? Would that hurt? Probably would.
It hurt.
Probably would hurt your ability to throw a breaking ball.
Yeah.
Just throwing thoughts out there, Sean.
No. Like apparently the Astros training room, this is a no dumb idea zone. Just throw anything out there. We'll see if we can make it work.
Look, this is coincidental. Like, yeah, they're working on his elbow, but he got hit in the elbow while they're working on it. It's hard to ever look at the Astros training staff and take them seriously, just based off of this year. That's going to wrap up this edition of Astros ER.